2 more days for 2024, and then we enter 2025, a year that would be filled with volatility and a lot of excitement. Hello, everyone. I'm Micha Stocks, and on this video, we're going to summarize the week, at least the short week that we had, and look a bit forward. Probably during the middle of the week or end of the week, I'm going to kind of cover 2024. We're going to summarize it after the year would end and look at the major trends that we had during 2024. Let's directly dive in. And a quick reminder that everything and anything that you see on this video is not financial advice. It's only educational and entertainment purpose only. If you're new, it would be amazing if you can subscribe to the channel. We have currently 5.1K subscribers. Every week, we post a weekly video on what happened in the market. Although it felt like a red week, the week ended on the major averages on the green side. The Nasdaq was up 0.8%, S&P up 0.6%, the Dow up 0.3%, and the Russell up 0.2%. Even the RSP, the equal weighted, was unch on the week. Why did we feel like it was a red week? Mainly because of Friday, that we had a big decline on the major averages. Some of them are at least right now, probably were part of profit taking before 2025. When we look at the indices themselves, you can see that except the materials, which is XLB, all other indices ended on the green side for the week, and the short week it was. Communication 0.08, but on the flip side, you got energy up 1.4 and financials up 1.3. When we dive into the crypto market, you can see Bitcoin up for 1%, only Ethereum down 1%. Again, volatility is the key. Crude oil up 1.3 for the week, and natural gas down 6.9 for the week. Magnificent 7, we're not so magnificent this week. Meta was up 0.7%, Tesla up 0.36, and Nvidia and Apple up. Apple getting closer to the $4 trillion company, and Apple was the first one to reach a market cap of $1 trillion. It was the first company to reach $2 trillion. It was the first company for $3 trillion. Guess what? Probably going to be the first one reaching $4 trillion. It might happen in the next day or two, or maybe in the next week or months. We don't know. But that's how we summarize. And again, mainly what we felt bad for the week were the big declines that we had, mainly on Friday. That kind of created that false feeling that we had a red week. Let's summarize the news for the week, and here we go. I'm starting with Goldman Sachs that expects Jerome Powell to cut 0.25% on the March, 0.25%, then another 2 cuts, June and September. Why is that interesting or so interesting? It's because that during the week we saw the 10-year going to 4.6%, which means that the market currently is predicting that the Fed is not going to reduce rate even once during 2025 versus Goldman Sachs that believes that the Fed would. If you look at the chart itself, you can see that we got to the lowest level at the day that the Fed announced that they're going to reduce rate. And from that point on, the market said, you know what, they're not really going to do that. And then the yield went up. Very, very interesting phenomenon. We might see how everything would change during January and February when we have a new president in the White House. But that's why I started with that, because of the huge dissonance between the market and the charts themselves and the bond market. So there's the bond market, and there's the investment market. Taiwan Semi opening a manufacturing plant in Japan, taking out manufacturing from Taiwan. They're going to open more in Europe and in the US, everything to reduce the dependency of Taiwan in preparation of China taking back Taiwan. Trump urges the Supreme Court by a letter that he sent them to not ban TikTok on, I think their discussion is supposed to be January 13, if I'm not mistaken, or 19. He says, I need to look into it. I'll try to get into a deal and something like that. Don't ban it and don't put that situation before I step in the White House. We will see. Microsoft and OpenAI are in talks to change their partnership terms. Part of it is because OpenAI is bleeding money like crazy. OpenAI also said this week that they're probably going to need to raise billions of dollars because AI is very expensive. That just proves that the bar is so high for entering that market that basically most of the companies will not really be able to compete with these kinds of companies, if they will be able to survive, by the way. NFL saw, or Netflix saw their first 2 game live streams on Christmas Day. They smashed their records of 24 million viewers, but they came shorter than the year before when the NFL games were broadcasted in the regular broadcasting channels, where I think it was around 29 million viewers, something like that. But again, Netflix knows how to put the right ad in front of the right person, so it becomes a different scale than the regular broadcasting channels. Dan Ives raises his price target for Apple. He believes Apple is a $4 trillion company, and he put a $325 price target on the company itself. Alibaba agrees to merge with South Korean operation eMart for another $4 billion. If we would not have, or if we look at the Chinese companies and assume that Alibaba's books are correct, and we should assume that, by the way, we should. Alibaba is very cheap, but it was cheap in 2024. It was cheap in 2023. Yet the stock isn't seeing significant gains, although it's cheap. Now, does that mean that you should buy it? Of course, I can't tell you to buy it, but I'm just saying that you can be cheap for a long, long time and still not be attractive to the market. And currently, with all the tensions with China, no one is touching the Chinese companies. Same for NIO, that is repurchasing their stock. And again, no one is touching Chinese companies. Bank of America reports that $10 billion of inflow went into the stock market last week, the largest amount since 2008. Cash from the sideline is being poured inside slowly. Nordstorm is taken private by the family that founded it, and El Puerto de Liverpool for $6.25 billion. This is exactly where the stock traded, on the same market cap, so there's no real upside for this deal. Although, before the deal was structured, the stock went up 40% from the rumors of the deal. Apple is at least reported developing a smart doorbell with advanced facial recognition that would use Face ID. I don't think it's that different than what we have today with Ring and others, but you know what? Apple may be trying to do something that we haven't seen before. Meta, on the other hand, is waiting for the iPhone to die, and they keep developing display technology for the Ray-Ban smart glasses with a preparation to a point where no one would use their phone, only use smart glasses, and everything would be embedded inside. You would see this video on your glasses. You wouldn't need a computer. You wouldn't need an iPad. You wouldn't need anything. At least that is the vision. Will they be able to reach it or not? That's a different discussion, but that's where they're pushing the envelope to. And QLR Technologies, you wouldn't have heard this company even if I told you so. QLR Technologies has started to acquire Bitcoin as part of their Bitcoin treasury. And they're establishing such for $21 million. Currently, only the small companies, small mega cap companies are purchasing, except MicroStrategy, of course, are purchasing Bitcoins. We haven't seen a big S&P 500 company purchasing in the last year. Tesla purchased 2.5 years ago, but that's the only S&P 500 company that we know of. Will it change in 2025? We might see it. And that brings us directly to a touch on 2025. 2025 is just around the corner. Wednesday is January 1st. Trading resumes on Thursday. January 1st, there's no trading. This is how the major investment firms predict 2025 would end. Starting with UBS that predicts 6,400, all the way to Oppenheimer that predicts 7,100. Currently, the S&P is trading around 6,059 something, which means that the minimum upside that they're seeing is between 5% to around 15%. That means they're expecting another green year. But these prices, remember, are for the end of the year, which means that we might see volatility during the year, while we might end higher than we ended this year, which means that we might get a green year. Will it happen or not? We will see that, of course, every week. But we are entering 2025, to be fair, with the S&P 500, one of the most expensive forward PE that we have. Forward PE is the multiple for the earnings, and we are seeing higher valuations, mainly driven by the Magnificent Seven. We should say that as well. And I think that the current models do not know how to actually account for 7, 6, 5, it doesn't matter the amount of companies that are so big, so dominant. We never had that, and growing as well. So we never had a situation where that happened. Will that create a correction? I believe corrections will happen during 2025, and we might see several of them. And they might be also very nasty. But again, currently there are no signs of capitulation in the market, or at least bears taking control. As I mentioned, Wednesday, no trading. This is from the holiday trading for the New York Stock Exchange. So no trading on Wednesday, and 2 weeks later, there's no trading on Monday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. S&P 500 represented here by tabs or bars. Green line is the 50-day moving average. As you can see, we keep playing around with a 50-day moving average. Usually that's not a good sign because it means that we might break underneath it. If we break underneath it, the next stop might be the 100-day moving average, where we touched it twice during 2024, and we might touch it again. The price would be around 50, let's say 5,800. That would make a lot of sense. By the way, we have a support for that we touched during December 20, so it won't be a big surprise getting all the way there. If we also drop underneath the 100-day moving average, that might bring us to a 150-day moving average, which again, we touched during August 5th, where we had the big correction there. And from that point on, by the way, if you were smart enough to buy August 5th, it doesn't matter during the day, you are now up on that purchase 15%. And it only happened on August 5th, right? That's not even full year. We're going to summarize the year in a few days. I hope you enjoyed it. If you can, smash the like button. Of course, write some smart comment. That, of course, helps the engagement on YouTube. Write something related to stocks, to the stock market, to how you like these videos. And then YouTube might learn and present it to more people. Thank you very much. Till next time. Bye-bye.